Final hour overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Bryan Hayes, Chesko, Corrado.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's Frankie again.
Dude, did you say put Frankie back up?
No, I swear to God. That's
Okay.
Joe from the Bridge took full autonomy over that, and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah,
You're tarnishing my new brand, Joe.
Chesko, Corrado, and Jeff O'Neill. Now we're up on TSN 2, right? This is across the country. This is really big. People from coast to coast need to understand you got a new handle here.
Chesko Enterprises.
Yeah. Yes. Carlo will join us here in a moment. I got Seward on SportsCenter last night. I don't know if you guys saw. Kara Wagland fired me on SportsCenter last night.
That?
When she said that she was hiring a consultant, I knew it was you. You guys live in the same hood. You're friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you what, though. You did her dirty with some of
There
those
was some
picks,
bad picking.
Dude, it was
some awful
You
picking.
deserved what you got last night.
Well, I mean, here's the conundrum, all right? Because I was a secret consultant, right? Like her and Lindsay and other SportsCenter hosts are constantly picking someone who's going to score a goal that night in the NHL. It's more difficult than you think trying to pick a winner. And there are so many times we'd throw out 2 or 3 names and we'd pick the wrong guy, right? The other 2 would score, we'd pick the third guy. And then Kara last week said, "You're fired, you're out." And then yesterday it goes, "I'm going to make the announcement, you're out." So I was of the impression she was going to really sewer me. So then she said, if you want a statement, I can maybe talk to SportsCenter and you can make a statement. So I made a statement and I basically ripped into her ownership.
Did you ever?
Like I destroyed her as an owner. Yeah. And then she went on with it was amicable and we're friends. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not how you described it to me.
Yeah.
You were saying I'm a
it was
loser
for
and
her.
I stink. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I thought you were going to blame it all on me, which she kind of did. They also posted a Peter Griffin picture to start, which I thought was unnecessary.
That was a cheap
That was a greasy move.
That was 13 years ago.
That was a long time ago. I own it. I used to look like that guy, Peter Griffin. I know it, but I don't anymore. So I got Seward all around. And then Kara posted on Instagram, and Colaiacovo jumps on, and Carlo wants in, I think, either to be her consultant of the future, or he had some other suggestion. Some guy, I don't even know who was it? Some guy with covers or something like that. I don't even know what Carlo was talking about online.
Jingles?
Could have been Jingles, who's Al's brother's buddy, right? Because he always thought he was talking to Jingles,
What's up,
and it
Jingles?
turns out it wasn't Jingles. But so Carlo's in there, and I think he's angling for my former job. But
I know how
got Seward
Carlo
last
acted
night,
in
man.
high school. When somebody broke up, he'd be like, "Hey, want to be my friend?"
That's exactly what I'm getting to.
What
Here
a
I
rat
am.
snake.
I get gas last night. Kara Wagland says, "You're out. You suck."
Yeah.
And then Carlo sneaks into the DMs. Here he is, Carlo Colaiacovo, first up. Greasy behavior.
Dude.
Mowing lawns.
Hold on a
Mowing
second. Hold on a
lawns.
second. Hayes, you did Kara dirty, okay?
Yeah.
You on this show, Monday to Friday with Al's brother, brag about your NFL picks.
Right.
And you can't pick anything hockey-wise for Kara?
Dude, there was some garbage picks, too. There would
bad.
be, third-line wingers with 0 goals. It's like, why that guy?
It was
I felt
cold
bad
streak.
for Kara because I chimed in because I work with a guy, Jingles, and this guy is an absolute stud
Right.
when it comes to picking hockey plays. So I just thought I'd
Well,
offer
then maybe
some help.
Jingles, maybe he can help out. Because, listen, I got to own some of it. But what I'm saying is Kara's got to own some of it, too.
That's fair.
Kara, I would throw out a name and she'd say, "Nah, not feeling it." That guy would go home and rip home. When Marner had a hat trick in Detroit, I said he didn't play well the game before. I'm telling you, I think he gets off the snide here. She vetoed it, said, "I don't like that play." Sure enough, the guy
So
scores a hat
who did
trick.
you pick instead?
Oh, it was probably like
Yanni
Ryan Reaves or
Hockenpah.
something. Yeah, it was Yanni Hockenpah. It was some awful pick, I can guarantee it.
Whoa.
Did you pick that KHL guy that was playing with his phone?
I should have picked that guy. The guy's description, did you see that he used the cigarette on the ear analogy?
Oh,
Yeah,
my
it's like when
God.
you put a cigarette in your ear and you forget it's there.
Like, dude, you're a professional athlete.
I mean, credit to him. He had a great excuse, but there's no way that what the explanation he gave was true.
No
like,
chance.
You feel your phone when it drops into your pants.
Exactly, man. That's a heavy item.
Yeah.
He said that explanation was it's like a cigarette in the ear.
He used that as an analogy as to why you would forget it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
He's like,
Did you see what he said? He said the phone would go right above me on the ledge where my elbow pads was.
right.
when I took my elbow pads off, my phone
slid into his
accidentally
back
slid
pants.
and fell into my pants.
Right.
And I didn't feel it. It's just like when you put a cigarette on top of your ears.
And you forget
and
it's
you
there.
just forget it's there.
Like, that's a professional athlete that is basically admitting,
is.
That he blows darts and hammers vodka.
yeah, which makes me appreciate this guy so much more.
Hayes, the best reaction to that was when the ref came by the bench and he's showing the phone and everyone's like, no, it's not ours.
Yeah.
And he literally, his head down and he reaches out for it. He's like, all right, that's
He
mine.
knew
I
it,
got to
man.
walk off the bench.
Because he saw the case, too, right? It was kind of a unique case. He's like, that's mine. My girlfriend got it for me
that's
for Christmas.
classic.
It's oh, man.
Classic.
It was so good. It was so good. Anyway, good to see you, buddy. And
you
we
too.
got.
By the way,
go ahead.
before we get started, why is Frankie have Chesko?
Oh.
Am I missing something
Well,
here?
it's
Like,
funny.
do I get
Italian
a nickname
First
on
of all,
this show?
You should know because your co-host calls me Chesko all the time, Korolnik. But
Oh, really?
we're trying to make it a thing.
It's
See if it
Frankie.
sticks.
We're trying to do away with Frankie. He's getting a little too old for it. Francesco, shorten it to Chesco.
Yeah.
I love it.
I love
think It's
it.
awesome.
Ah,
Yeah.
I
big
agree.
hit. It's big on Twitter.
Chesco
Start-
Corrado.
Start your own sandwich place.
Yes.
Chesco's.
Chesco's.
The
you
chicken
go.
parm is just
Oh, dude.
electric at Chesco's.
Chesco's.
Sleek
Buy
and
some
marinara.
cologne and a sandwich.
Yes, with a
All at the same time.
Do you guys?
Nice.
Let me ask you this because I've had it once and I did not have a good experience. Brio, the drink.
Hate it.
Don't like
Thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
I like
loved it. I loved it because it was like a soda pop. It had a little bit of a different vibe to it.
No,
It was
man.
Bitter.
It is. JP just jumped, almost came through the glass. JP,
JP,
loves
you watch your
Brio.
mouth.
Brio.
Oh,
No, he
yes,
loves it.
JP. JP,
JP
on
loves
Thursday,
it.
I'm coming in for the Leafs game. Bring me and you a Brio, brother, and
Wow.
we'll share.
I love
tough.
it. Just two
That's
old
tough.
school guys making hay
Hammering
over a couple
a
of
Brio.
Brios.
Need a picture of O-Dog and JP
Cheersing.
having a Brio.
Cheersing
a
a
Brio.
Brio. I love it. I need to see that.
Veal sandwich and a Brio.
yeah, you
How's your
can-
breath after that?
Dude, you know what, JP? Forget it. I'm going to go to San Remo's up the street, and I'll get the Brio there, and I'll get us a
Ooh.
cold cut sandwich, and we'll have a nice little together time up at the office.
Little picnic up here. I love it.
Yes!
I love it.
Nice.
Do you expect Reeves and Hathaway to be a thing tonight, Carlo, or what are you anticipating?
I think it almost has to be, right? I mean, if he's being inserted back into the lineup and he just saw his teammate get jumped and now out with a concussion, I mean, isn't that sort of what his job
Feels
is
like
supposed to
it.
be? Like
It
to
feels
police
like it.
to police situations like this. And look, I give Hathaway a ton of credit. He's well respected around the league as being a tough guy, and I'm pretty sure he didn't mean to do what he did, but he probably has to know that there's got to be some sort of answer coming to that, no?
I would think so. And specifically, like, Reeves has not been playing. He hasn't fought all year. Again, like, McCabe was looking for it. McCabe's a big boy. Like, McCabe
Yeah.
was instigating the fight as much as Hathaway was willing to give it to him. But in the end, you know, McCabe's a really important piece, a veteran guy. He's out. Now you're going into Philly. And, you know, Hathaway's tough, and I'm sure he'll answer the bell. It feels like Ryan Reaves, the fact that he hasn't fought 41 games into the season, and now you're going in Philly, it feels like it's a formality. We could be wrong. I mean, who knows with the way the game is played today. But
I would imagine that maybe Reeves is thinking about this being his moment to fight, but would Hathaway want to fight him?
that's the question.
Right.
That's it. I mean, he probably doesn't want to. He probably knows he will step up, though, if he has to.
Yeah,
it's a different story.
Also, like, you just get it out of the way. But do you want you're going to play a 60-minute game? Who knows how much you're going to play? But do you want Reeves just chasing you around all night, just being like, "Hey, let's go now, let's go now"? Like, just get it done, get it over with. You're a big boy. You know how to fight. You're in that category. Just get it over with.
Yeah.
Coco, what do you like about Matthew Knies' game? Since he's a hat trick, he's playing better. What do you like about his game right now?
I think a credit to his success. Like, he's moving his feet, right? I mean, if you heard Craig Berube come out a couple weeks ago and criticize his game to sort of get himself going, I think the term he uses is what he's got to start, being more chaotic with his game. I'm pretty sure that's the term he used. But when you're playing with those two guys, I'm not going to say it's easy to have success, but you have a better chance of having success because you just got to be in the right places at the right time. And you look at these goals that he's scoring. He's getting to the net. The puck's getting on his stick, and I think that's what he got away from a little bit. And look, the NHL's a hard league to play in because when people start to figure you out, you've got to make the adjustment on your own to sort of find success again. I think he just got too comfortable with his game, got away from the little things that made him successful by being heavy on pucks, winning the forechecks, digging pucks out of the corner, and even getting to the front of the net. And I think, the success we've seen lately is because he's getting back to those areas and he's finding that game again.
Carlo, I think what it is, I think you have to find something that you got to find a percentage of what time it's going to work no matter what.
Yeah.
For Alex Ovechkin, he found that getting to the spot for the one-timer, 85% of the time, no one's going to have anything to say about that because it's just going to go into the net. And I think for Matthew Knies, his 85%, or maybe it's not quite 85, but is going to the net and being a physical presence in front and skating hard through the neutral zone that's his go-to, where it's like when he does that and he's on his game, it's tough to stop him. That's his go-to. And if you do that on a consistent basis, that's where you're like, for most nights, man, I'm not going to be denied. You're going to have some nights where you go through some tough stretches, but that's his way of doing business. And if he tries to get away from that and think he's something different, his percentages are going to go way down and he's not going to have success. So it's like every player, and you guys were both, all three of you were defensemen. You got to find your way of having success. Some guys are skilled. Like Brian Wafralski got the puck out differently than anybody else would because he depended on his hockey sense, his skill. Other guys were power guys. You got to figure out what works, and you got to do that on a consistent basis.
Well, there's great examples of the past. I mean, Chris Kunitz made a career of playing alongside Sidney Crosby. Michael Bunting found his way in the NHL because he knew how to play with guys like Matthews, and now.
But he also had to find roots and patterns that were good for him.
Right, and so what I was getting at was, you have to understand who you're playing with. You're playing with Matthews and Marner. You don't need to be the skill guy. You need to be the straight line guy that goes to the net with your stick on the ice, win those puck battles, win the net front battles, and you're going to get rewarded. I mean, playing with those two guys, you know in your career, when you're playing with guys that can get you the puck, the game's a lot easier. Right? Not every guy gets that chance. And for Knies, like you said, you got to recognize who you are, what you bring, who you play with, and where to be on the ice.
Yeah, it's career defining. You get a chance to play with two of the best players in the world. If you can be their third guy who they go into the coaching room and say, keep him with us, we want that guy.
Dude, you're Alex Burrows playing with the Twins.
Exactly.
Right.
That's
just
what you're
roll
100%.
it out, man.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And you're not, he should never be, not never, but he shouldn't be the puck carrier with those two guys. He should always be the guy kind of finishing things off. Mm-hmm. The Twins would do all this great work, passing the puck, this and that, and then who was there kind of on the doorstep? It was Burrows.
Yeah.
Right?
And he had a hell of a career.
Yeah.
Made a ton of money playing alongside those guys.
It's a great life, man. It's a great life. It's a great career. Carlo Colaiacovo with us. Where does Scott Laughton land for you in terms of a list of players that the Leafs should be calling on if he's available?
I mean, fair the near top. I mean, you talk about his intangibles, okay? If the Maple Leafs are looking for a middle six center iceman, I think he fits the bill perfectly in many ways. One, he can play whatever role you want him to play, kill penalties, check, can chip in on the offense once in a while, and he comes at a small cap hit. I mean, those are all – you check a lot of boxes with that, and I think the trump card on this is the fact that he's a local kid. I mean,
right.
He would love to come home and play for his hometown team. I'm not saying that because he said that to me because he's a close friend of mine. He loves playing in Philly. He really embraces, everything Philly represents, with the way they play and the city and the hard blue collar type of, a reputation that they have. But if he's a guy that becomes available, I think absolutely he'd be an amazing fit for this team.
Yeah, he's got this year and next on his deal. Right, and he's a guy that can score 15 to 20, and like you said, he'd be your third line center, but maybe he can play second line if you need to. It's not ideal. It's not something you'd want throughout a full playoff run, but That would appear to be the kind of price they'd be willing to pay more of a price for that player because he's got term on his deal.
Yeah.
Where did this Scotty Laughton stuff start?
I think because Philly is not in the playoffs, and they based on what Danny Briere was telling us yesterday. I think it's important to point this out. Like he doesn't want them to tank or bottom out or anything. He wants them to be competitive. So they may hold on to Laughton because he's an important player for them, a veteran guy that's playing well. But if he becomes available, you can make sense of it from Philly's perspective because you'd probably get a boatload for him because he's got term on his deal.
Yeah.
And he plays a prominent position, and he's still in his prime. He's 30. He's not over the hill.
Yeah. Well, I think if we can learn anything from Philly, you go back to last year's trade deadline where they had those two defensemen. One of them was Sean Walker, and the other one was the left-handed shot. Sealer, yes. They kept Sealer because he ended up agreeing to a deal that fit within their structure.
Right.
But they got offered a price they couldn't refuse for Walker. So I think Philly could potentially enter this trade deadline with the same mentality, saying, look, we have guys here that we want, but if we get offered something that we can't refuse, we'll look at making that deal.
Absolutely.
And I think Laughton's one of those guys.
Yeah, I would think so.
And he's a hard to play against guy, which would fit with what they're trying to do here in Toronto. Like the Leafs are hard to play against. You don't get to be the first place team in the Atlantic if you're not. And that's probably one of the biggest things that has changed in the fact that they're more comfortable in these types of games and they're willing to do some things differently to win these close games and not take themselves out of games. That equals hard team to play against.
Oh, there's
and
no
he's
question,
that kind of guy.
Sorry, Chesko. There's no doubt that he would be the perfect fit. But I just wonder, like, how are we dreaming this up? Are we, like, is this somebody
It's a trade bait board thing. I'm going to throw him on mine.
Is this soft tampering?
He's on mine. He's on my trade bait board. Soft tampering.
Feels like some soft tampering.
Yeah, listen, I think there's a local connection. He plays the position. Like, it feels like in Toronto, everyone is just zoned in on center, which I'm not sure that should be the case. I do wonder what they're going to add depth defensively. Now you got McCabe out. We don't know when he's going to return. This is, it's an opportunity. Like Morgan Riley's very secure, as he should be. He's longest standing Leaf. He's made his money. He's got term. But now, like, does he get a chance to play with Tanev again at some point? Like, if McCabe's going to be out for a while, and if so, wouldn't you think I want to seize that opportunity? Like, he's had a good year. It hasn't been great. Offensively, it hasn't been over the top. Now McCabe's out. I'm curious to see what Morgan Riley brings. And, how many more minutes he's going to play. And he's playing with Myers. And, Benoit, I thought, stepped up really admirably the other night after McCabe went out. I thought he played well.
Yeah.
But they're going to need him. It's depth right now in defense if McCabe's going to be out for an extended period of time.
So let me ask you guys something. Is this the most comfortable you've felt about a Maple Leafs roster, even if they don't add someone? Because it just seems like there's games that I that creep up on me, and sometimes I don't even know who's playing, who's in, who's out, but you see the same result with this Maple Leafs team, where it's
the answer is 100% yes.
Right.
It's not even a question.
Right. I mean, Matthews is out for an extended time. They still find ways to win games. The McCabe's missed some time. He's going to miss more time. It just feels like they've done such a great job in instilling confidence even in the depth players on this team that are not everyday guys, that when they come in, it's like they still don't miss a beat. And I feel that way about even on the guys on defense. Like Connor Timmins wasn't even a guy that we thought of, and I thought I think he's played outstanding this year. And now Philip Myers has come out of nowhere, and Connor Timmins can't come in. And
dude, Philip Myers had to go to the Marlies on a conditioning stint. It was so long, since games played for him.
And now he's had a seamless transition.
Yeah.
I think the third line deserves a lot of credit too. Like Max playing in the middle with Robertson and McMahon, that line for whatever reason just clicked right away.
Been good.
And they haven't been a liability.
Yeah, well, they're breaking that up tonight to put Reeves in. Robertson's coming out.
Yeah.
Which
really?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. That's what it looked like at skate this morning.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and they're going to move Lawrence up. Lawrence is going to move up, and they're going to keep Dewar and Kampf in there with Reeves.
Man,
that's where I don't understand how Dewar doesn't come out of the lineup and you leave the third line alone, unless somebody pissed him off in the last game.
Well, I think I think there's some checks and balances with Robertson as well. I think it's Berube saying, "Don't get too comfortable. Like you've been better, but this is." I will say this: I don't think it's a great message if you're Nick Robertson that you're going to play in the playoffs. It's one thing to be really solid in December and January, and that third line's clicked, which is accurate. Domi's playing, McMahon's playing. It is not a guarantee Robertson plays in the playoffs.
No.
It's nowhere close to a guarantee.
So to follow up on that point, Hayes, do you maybe get the sense that Berube expects the intensity of this game to be a lot higher, and he wants guys that are going to bring it and be prepared? Because, look, Berube used to coach in Philly. This is a big game for him. He's probably playing in front of a lot of friends and family.
Absolutely.
And maybe he wants more of those type of players that can bring or be ready to play, that type of hockey versus a Robertson that's not really known for being that guy. Look, I think he's competitive, but, when there's scrums out there,
he's not the guy you want on the ice for that. No, but at the same time, if you're always concerned this could get carried away and he's not a guy you can use, then again that is not a good sign for him. And I think he's played much better recently. I do think that third line, and we'll see. Maybe come puck drop, he has a different view on it, and they go back with a similar lineup. But Reeves going in tonight speaks to that. Like, they're expecting some physicality. They want some physicality. And I think that's another difference with the Leafs is they're going into Philly, and I think the Leafs they're thinking we're going to be the bully here. That's a big difference where the shoe's been on the other foot for a long time here, where you go in there and you think, is someone going to do anything? Is anyone going to be pissed off? I expect Philly to be thinking, we better be on our toes here because these guys are coming in and they could be pissed. Yeah. That's a big difference.
I don't think you ever have to tell a Tortorella Philly team that, Hayes.
Probably not, but, outside, like Steelers talk, Konechny will get involved. Like, Konechny will be in the middle of it.
He's agitating.
But who were we talking about earlier? Delorier, he's injured. He's not playing.
Yeah.
So, they are missing some muscle.
And this is a big game for Philly, too.
Yeah, they're in the bubble. They're
right
wins.
in the mix. I mean, if you've seen the Eastern Conference, there's 8 teams right now that are separated by 3 or 4 points.
Absolutely. Well, Montreal's in, man. We've been talking about it all day. The Habs are in the playoffs.
Amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It is incredible. And I honestly, I look at it, maybe we got to do a confidence rankings at some point because I don't really have confidence in any of those teams.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We had written off Pittsburgh 4 separate times this year.
Crazy, dude, how they're still hanging around.
They found something recently where it's like they're playing way better, and like for the longest time, Sid wasn't scoring. Like, he was getting points, but he wasn't scoring. And then they asked him about it in Pittsburgh. He goes, "Oh, thank God! It's about time you guys asked me. Every time you ask me, then I score." And now he caught fire after that.
That was in Nashville. I think he scored that night. And actually, I picked Sid to score that night in Nashville.
And
I can't remember if Kara put him on the board. I think we did. I think that was one of our good picks. Okay. I think the Crosby goal in Nashville was one of our accurate picks. And then Kara said, "I'll take all the credit for this." Yeah. And then Seward
you went from -16 to -15.
That's
probably.
Right. We're getting lapped by everybody, Jermaine and everybody. I mean, I was looking at the board.
No anymore. You're out.
Actually, that's true. Yeah. Although I think Lindsay, were we beating Lindsay? I think Kara was ahead of Lindsay Hamilton. I can't remember.
Yes, Lindsay was in last.
Okay.
Yes.
But everybody else, like Hedge, everyone across the board, it's ugly. It's ugly.
Yeah.
Hey, at least your football picks are on fire, though.
They absolutely are. And golf picks are coming back real soon, too. I feel great about where we're at. And yeah, go ahead.
How about Hideki Matsuyama shooting -35 at the Century?
And how many times did he drop his club in disgust on the tee where this
Dude,
guy...
He didn't even putt good in the first 2 rounds. They were saying this guy might show up with a new putter on Saturday.
Unbelievable.
Well, he got the straight... I guess he got a Scotty Cameron
center
or something.
shafted custom putter.
Really?
Yeah, there's no bend on it. Center shaft.
I guess it works. -35.
No kidding, man. He's got to stop with the dramatics on the tee, though. Like, this guy, he rips a cut right up the middle, 320, and he drops his club in disgust. Because it throws off the guys in the booth. They're like, "Oh, that one's wide right," because he'll start pointing, and his caddy starts pointing right down the middle of the fairway.
Yeah, it's 1 yard right of center.
Yeah, and he's all bent out of shape. And I feel for, like, Hicks and everyone because they're like, this one could be, it's perfect. What the hell is this guy talking about? But I'll bet you Hideki will be at the Waste Management, and TSN 1050 wants you to be our unofficial correspondent at the grittiest golf event of the year. Here's how you enter. Download the iHeartRadio app, create an account, and listen to TSN 1050 for at least 15 minutes straight. Once you hit 15 minutes, follow the prompts. to complete your entry. And whether it's 15 minutes of First Up or 15 minutes of Overdrive, the more you listen, the better your chances. And on January 20th, First Up, we'll be calling one listener with a trip for two to the Waste Management Open in Arizona. Full details at tsn1050.ca. You can't beat that. You and AK calling somebody
We're calling
up?
the winner?
You're calling the winner on Jan 20th. How good is
Love
that on
it.
First Up? That's going to be outstanding.
Love it.
Yeah. So it's
Can't be a
it's go
family
time.
member. You can't rig it. Got to be a neutral party observer.
Yes, completely
A friend of
unbiased.
Chesko's.
Yeah.
Make sure it's a friend of
Hey, a friend of Chesko's is a friend of ours.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Anytime. Anytime.
Anytime. All right, buddy. We'll catch you tomorrow at 6 a.m. on First Up.
You got it, boys.
There
Have
it
a good
is.
week.
Carlo Colaiacovo. Frankie, you're off to do some panel work as well, right?
Yeah, I got to go do the Sens.
Okay,
Sens
buddy.
Red Wings.
Enjoy yourself. Confirm and deny will continue. We got best bets coming up and a story out of the New York Post that fits into the underpant cam. I'm sure you saw it. We'll tell you more about that. It's quite something. You talk about analytics. These analytics are off the charts. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, best bets later in the hour. A couple of confirm or denies after dark. Coach firings in the NFL, and I was reading Adam Schefter tweeting out because the Las Vegas Raiders fired Antonio Pierce. Tom Brady, Raiders limited owner Tom Brady, is expected to be a part of a collaborative committee to interview head coaching candidates and support team owner Mark Davis, per league sources. How is this guy in the booth? Like,
Dude, he's not going to go. I think he's going to. I know
quit
it's
Fox. You think he's
yeah,
out?
I think he is, man. As crazy as the money is, I think he's just a football lifer and a football nerd. And you don't think he had an influence on saying get rid of Pierce?
Absolutely,
Like,
of course,
absolutely,
man.
He would have because when that guy gets into the boardroom with all the people that aren't football people, he's like, look, you got to gas this coach. I've seen enough. I've heard enough. I've talked to people around other teams. He's gone. So they're like, oh, my God, Tom Brady just said we got to gong the coach. We got to gong the coach.
Well, that's what it is. It's twins, man. It's Mark Davis and Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You know, it's Al's brother and Luke Wilson. Like, Mark Davis is going to naturally tell Tom or ask Tom, like, what's up? What do you think we should do here? Like, I don't believe for a second he'll be a part of a collaborative committee. He will make the decision, and Mark Davis will say that's what we're doing.
But in whole, like, I understand there's Black Monday in football and coaches get fired, but I just get a sense that in today's day and age, like, GMs are just let off the hook.
Big time.
Like, dude, that GM with the Giants, like, I would have fired him for not getting Saquon Barkley signed. Like, just as, like, a fan kind of connection. The guy wanted to play there. He always played well. And you don't want to bring him back? What are you drunk?
Well, and
that's
crazy.
These GMs are getting, like, sooner or later, does the owner not tap the GM and say, okay, we're firing another coach on your watch. What is this team all about? The team sucks, and you're responsible for putting the team together. In every sport, NHL, football, the GMs get off. Like, they get so many hall passes, it's insane. And I don't know if the owners say it's too difficult to do the paperwork and gas you and get a new guy in here. We like the way things are run, but it's just like, I don't know how they don't get the tap on the shoulder and say, you're responsible for this roster that sucks.
Absolutely. Especially when you let free agents go that you shouldn't, or you sign guys that you shouldn't, or you have horrible drafts. That has nothing to do with the coach, generally.
No.
That's the GM that's making those decisions. And there's far more turnover with coaching. I understand it because they are, you're dealing closer with the players, right? Like, as you would know, the players may have a say on this. Like, I'm around this coach, he's a joke, we've turned on him. Then you have to fire the guy. Coaches aren't going to do that with GMs necessarily, so they don't have as much, like, obvious blood on their hands. But you look at the GM in New York, the GM in Jacksonville, that Jags team is a disaster. Trent Baalke has been down there for years.
But Hayes, that situation in Jacksonville, like, do they have to look at Trevor Lawrence and say,
yes,
maybe
he's a bust. He could be a bust.
They just handed that guy, I think, $250 million, okay? Is someone, a GM, you would think it's an executive, say, and I don't know what they can do about it because they handed him the money. Are they going to say all this guy's going to do is get us into trouble and get more people fired? Because he just doesn't seem to be that good.
Well, especially when you consider Doug Peterson was supposed to be the quarterback whisperer, right? Like, look what he did in Philly. He won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles, It's not as if Doug Peterson is some idiot, right? Like he lost.
He's not an
control of
idiot.
it.
He's not an idiot.
He's not. He lost control of it this year. It was over, and he knew it. He knew he was a dead man walking from like week 5 onward. He knew it. It was over. This was the most obvious firing in the NFL that he was gone. But he's not. He was an offensive-minded coach, and he couldn't find a way to get Lawrence to take off in his career. My understanding is based on rumor mills in the NFL. Take that for what it's worth. Is Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator in Detroit? He's going to get that job. Like he may end up taking the job in Jacksonville, and then that'll be it for Lawrence. Like if you put him down there and he brings all the magic from Detroit down to Jacksonville and puts an offense together, and Lawrence can't move it forward, then he's officially a bust.
Well, he did it 1 year, did he? Got the Jags into the playoffs 1 year.
Yes, and remember they
that was Dougie's first year, I think.
It was Doug Peterson's first year, it was. Yeah, it was. And that division's been awful forever. The AFC South is always bad.
Dude, if you can't get in, like, you got serious problems.
Man. If you can't do it in that division, you really got to figure your life out. But Brady's ruling all this. Also, financially, yes, Fox is paying him a fortune. If you're an owner of an NFL team, you're making so much money on that investment as well. Like that's another element of it. This guy does, yes, $37 million is a massive amount of cash. If he owns 10% of the Raiders, and the evaluation of that company and that team grows, exponentially every year, he's making a fortune off that investment as well. And who's to say he doesn't look at that as a long-term play, that 10% could turn into 20% in 5 years, right? 25%. Maybe Davis loves what he's bringing to the table, and in order for him to stick around, he continues to chip in on the pie, and you're going to make that much more money.
Don't you think he'd like to be 10% owner / president of the team and make all the calls?
But then you're really putting yourself in the firing line where you've got to explain yourself to the media, to the fans, right? If you're the owner, you can just sit in the background and say, hey, man, go talk to the president, go talk to the GM. Once you put a title of like football operations
well, you don't think he wants that stress?
I don't know.
I honestly think that he would love day-to-day football operations. He would love to be walking around. You know those NFL films where like a president's walking around talking to the coach? Mm-hmm. I think he would eat that stuff up. I don't know.
I think he can do it. I think he could do it anyway as Tom Brady and 10% owner. Like he could probably have his cake and eat it too. Because if the Raiders turn this program around, hire a good coach, get a quarterback, everyone's going to think it's Brady anyway.
Hayes, do you know how much time being an NFL, like you're a broadcast, you know how much time you put into this?
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
They got to fly in, get video work done. They got to meet with coaches. It's not like he just wings it and shows up on Sunday.
And he will not be comfortable with the reaction this year. Like there's been a lot of people very critical of his job.
Yeah, and if that continues, that's where I could see him unsettling. I could see him saying, "Check, please." Like I can't stand people talking about me like this.
Exactly, because it's whipping boy material. He's not experienced it ever in his life. Ever in his life has he been the brunt of criticism and jokes and
it'll be a quick transition. Like year 2, you'll either say this guy's on track to be unbelievable at this, or you're going to be like this is the same thing and it's going to go downhill.
And I think to be fair to him, you got to give him a little bit more time. He's never done it. It's 1 year. Fox is committed to him. They're going to continue to give him that opportunity. But who's got the Super Bowl this year? It might be Fox. Might have it. He might be calling, or did Olsen? Brady is calling the Super Bowl. Okay, so there you go, man. That's go time. Like Brady's going to be calling the Super Bowl this year.
That is where he will really be under the gun.
Yes. If you start stammering and messing around and you've got no personality and you're stiff or whatever for the biggest game of the year, everything gets critiqued.
Yeah.
Like nothing is more critiqued.
Bob McKenzie's advice. My first World Junior gold medal game, I'm telling you, a minute and a half before we went on air, he leaned over and he goes, "Don't forget, you'll never have more people watching you on live TV than in 2 minutes for this game." And I was like, what the hell kind of underpant cam? It was absolutely soiled.
Well,
but that's how you got to do
being
it.
honest. I mean, you might as well face the reality.
You might as
right?
well. You either got it or it's like anything else in life, man. Sports, this job, you either do it or you don't.
Yeah, well, this is a perfect segue into what I was reading in the New York Post this morning. This was the headline. Nearly half of Americans carry spare underwear for emergencies. And so a poll of 2,000 U.S. adults, men and women? Equally split by gender, revealed that 70% of those who carry spares have had their backup underwear come to the rescue. So,
where?
Well, I mean, let me read on here, okay? Scenarios respondents said they would have a need for a backup pair of underwear include being likely to have an accident, 39%. Know they'll need to change their clothes at some point during the day, 37%. I have no idea why that would be. Or being accident prone and likely to spill something on themselves. But spilling doesn't necessitate an underwear change, right? Like
The only scenario where, like, if you worked in that building you're in right now and had a cubicle and you went in there every day, I could see you having at your desk in the bottom drawer possibly a pair of jeans. Like, my whole time in the NHL, I had a pair of jeans, a hoodie, and a pair of underwear in the trunk of my car because I didn't know what I was getting up to.
Right. And that's
and sometimes, like, if you can't wheel in with a suit on from the night before, you need a quick little flip.
Right.
But that's different. Like a guy's golf trip, could you throw a pair of boxers in your golf bag and like if you had a massive night and you're out there golfing? I don't know.
I suppose.
I just don't think that where is this applicable? Like where's a grown adult just going to soil themselves right in the middle of a meeting or something? Does that happen?
It's amazing to me. Like 50% of people are saying, yes, this is just a standard move for them. They don't leave home without a spare pair of underwear. And of the 50%, 70% have had to go to the bullpen and put in the spare pair, which is just an astonishing number, man. And
well, somebody that we know wrote me one time we were talking about this, and it's not funny. Like, some people just got to go. They got to go.
Well,
I don't know. I've never seen a dude where it's like in their winter jacket in the inside pocket they got a pair of.
That's what I'm
saying.
Like, here's a pair of Joe Boxers just in case it might get carried away for me. You know, like some of the examples after a heavy workout, a super hot day, I guess. But like, what is happening with people around the United States where it's so hot and they realize this is something that is really going to be an issue for me? These could disintegrate to the point where I have to go change my underwear. 70% of those that carry a spare pair said it's come to the rescue.
That is crazy.
Astonishing statistics, man. Like, expected underwear per workday is really, really high in the U.S. And I'd have to believe it probably applies here in Canada, too. Yeah, pretty wild stuff, man.
That is wild stuff. I told you I could have used this pair. Like me and my wife, when we went to Vegas, I went to Topgolf.
Yeah.
Dude.
Topgolf is great in Vegas. It's hot. It's hot in Vegas.
I went to Topgolf. It was screaming hot, okay? And I did the full routine. Hit balls, played, the hacky sack, cornhole, you throw it in the thing. Like, I did the full routine, lunch, everything.
Everything there, yeah.
I got back to the hotel, and I looked I somehow had a weird look into a mirror. Dude, I had light beige shorts on. The back of them, it was like a movie where they were destroyed. Everything went in the garbage. So I could have used a pair of underwear.
Maybe we're looking down on the wrong people. Maybe they're looking at us like we're animals.
But dude,
we're disgusting
somebody was
animals.
looking at me at Topgolf like you are an animal, because wouldn't somebody tap you on the shoulder and say, "Dude, you need to go home"?
That's where you need exactly Robin to show up for your Batman. You needed probably your wife to tap you and say, "Dude, what do you think you're doing? Figure this out." But I've been to that Topgolf. It's an awesome spot, but it can get greasy out there for people.
Oh yeah,
get very greasy.
How many pics have you seen on like the different golf Twitter accounts where they're like, "I got paired with this guy this morning, and he's about to tee off, and it's a back shot, and this guy's got all kinds of business going on."
Yeah,
it's insane.
Very insane. Very unsettling.
Like, what do you say to that to a stranger on the 8th tee? Do you say, you might want to go in that restroom after 9 and check yourself out because you're a disaster? You can't say that to a complete stranger.
You can't do that. Especially on a course, you just let them be. You're not out in public necessarily. I mean, you are in a way, but it's not like it's a crowded place. You allow them to live their lives. But I was
live their lives.
I was really floored by that this morning. nearly half of Americans carrying a spare. It's like the movie Men in Black, where once they started showing all the aliens around, you realized, wow, they are actually among us. That's kind of what we're dealing with.
Let me ask you this. Amongst our group friends at work that we work with, JP, Doogie, myself, Noodles, and yourself, if you said, I wish I had brought a spare pair of underpants today, and let's say JP or Doogie said, I've got a pair, you want them, would you use them?
No. With all due respect to those two guys, there's no chance.
Why?
I think Doogie's the kind of guy that would. I think Doogie has 25 different colognes.
Dude, isn't the cologne outrageous? It's gone too far.
I think Doogie probably is a spare underwear guy because he's very, very concerned.
Doogie, answer this. Do you carry a spare pair of underwear to work?
Not to work, but I've done it before.
You have? What was
the
circumstance?
For what reason?
I was going out afterwards, so wasn't going home, and I just brought a spare of underwear.
So you brought, you were concerned.
Why? No, hang on a second. Why would you flip into a new pair of underwear once you left work to go out?
No reason. Just staying clean.
Just a cautious
truthfully,
guy.
it's happened before.
You were just shook, and you were really...
It's a long day at work. And
stay loud and stay proud and stay clean.
But here's my question for you, and tell me if you're uncomfortable with this questioning.
Okay.
If you go to the bullpen, what do you do with the old pair? What are you doing with the other pair that you've changed
garbage.
out?
I think it's garbage.
Throw them back in a grocery bag.
And what? Carry the bag around? What kind of icebreaker is that? You're going out for a date, and your girlfriend's like, "What do you have in the bag?"
Yeah,
I changed my underpants.
Can I see?
How do you get around that?
You can't.
No, you can't. That's the
Just
answer.
don't show them.
No, the answer is if you're going to go to the bullpen,
garbage.
you have to throw them out. Yes.
Yes.
You have. If you're going to the spare, that means the originals are in a disastrous state.
I don't know any dude 20 to 50 that carries around an extra pair. That story that Doogie just told us is insane. I've never heard of anything like that.
I've never even heard of it. I've never thought of it. In any scenario, have I had a buddy, anybody say, "Hey, just so you know, I got us covered tonight with a spare pair of underwear.
Yeah,
if anybody needs it."
So you're telling me, Hayes,
mentality.
if Doogie said, "I've got a spare pair right in my jacket,"
no, I'm not trusting that, man. You can't. You're not. That's not. No, I'm not doing that. Sorry, Doogie. I love you, Doogie, JP, everyone here.
Doogie,
no
if you were in a pinch and Hayes had a spare pair, do you take them?
If he hasn't used them in a while, then yes.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the?
That's a veteran move. It's
okay,
a veteran
Doogie.
move.
All right, Doogie. I appreciate your faith in me and my spare. All right, we'll come back with our best bets. Brought to you by FanDuel. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, today's best bets are powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds in the FanDuel Sportsbook app. William Nylander has been slumping. William Nylander has not been playing well. He's going to break out. I think it happens tonight. I think I got a parlay going here. Simply Nylander. Nylander to record a point. Nylander with 3+ shots. That's paying plus 110 on FanDuel. You're getting plus money on that. I think Willie gets on the game sheet tonight. I think Willie gets a bunch of shots on net. He's too good. He's been too consistent the last few years. He hasn't been playing great, but I think he comes alive tonight. There you go. Best bets powered by FanDuel. Live same-game parlays are now available for every NHL game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 18+, physically located in Ontario.
If you're gonna get back to back in business with Kara, one thing to look at is just success in buildings, man.
Mm-hmm.
You start watching hockey year after year, you just pick a building off. Here's one for instance, Austin Matthews in Seattle. Seems like he's gonna score that game, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. It's random. He only goes there once a year, but when he does, he's scoring a damn goal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, listen, that guy scores against a lot of different teams.
Yeah, Mitch Marner in Detroit. Seems like a lot of times he gets a goal in Detroit.
That's right. I was feeling it that night. I got overruled. Kara said no dice. It was her team.
And then she had the audacity to gas you completely.
And spin it as if it was amicable. And, we're listen, I love Kara. She's a dear friend of mine. But working for Kara Wagland Enterprise for KW Inc. was tough, man. There was a lot of overruling, a lot of undermining, a lot of finger pointing in one direction. And then I got sewered last night, and I made a statement that admittedly was emotional and Harsh, but accurate. I'm out.
I wouldn't put
I'm
up
out.
with it either. She can stay in the basement.
Yeah, go do your thing. Find someone else. And I'm sure she
What would be
will.
the move is join Team Lindsay Hamilton.
Yes.
And that would really cause problems.
I might reach out to Lindsay.
Yeah.
I might see if she's interested in that partnership.
Yeah.
Just go on a heater with Linz. That would be actually brilliant.
Yeah.
You got me thinking. All right. Leafs Flyers coming up on TSN Radio tonight. We look forward to that. Full breakdown tomorrow. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
JP, bring me a spare pair on Thursday just in case. 4 p.m.?
We'll chat then.